A sound pierced the stillness of the suburban street, the thunderous roar of Harley engines cutting through the peaceful afternoon like a storm cloud on the horizon. 4 bikers rolled in, their black vests emblazoned with the unmistakable insignia of the Hells Angels, casting elongated shadows on the warm pavement. Neighbors peered out cautiously from behind drawn curtains, mothers hurried their children indoors, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Amidst the cacophony of rumbling engines, a quieter, more fragile voice emerged, filled with innocence and desperation. "Sir, will you buy my bike?" The bikers slowed down, their engines humming softly. On the edge of the sidewalk stood a small girl, barely 6 years old. Her hair was tousled and her dress looked too tidy for the state of her worn shoes. Beside her was a pink bicycle with a white basket, and in her hands she held a cardboard sign that read, "For sale." The smallest biker, perhaps the gentlest of the group, shut off his engine and dismounted. His companions followed, their heavy boots thudding against the pavement. Kneeling before the girl, the glint of his bike's chrome shone behind her, a reflection of a harsh reality. Her name was Myra, and her eyes carried a weariness that no child should possess. In the distance, under a tree, an older woman sat slumped against the trunk, wrapped in a blanket, her thin frame barely recognizable. As Myra spoke again, clutching her sign more tightly, the biker felt a lump form in his throat. "Please, sir, Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days. If you believe in compassion and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Stories like this remind us that kindness can still change everything." The biker's name was Ryder. His brothers called him Wolf, a nickname that never quite suited him. Beneath the tattoos and leather, he was a man who had endured more than most could fathom. A father gone, a son lost, and a faith in humanity that seemed extinguished. Yet kneeling on that hot pavement, he felt something awaken within him. He gently asked what she meant, and through her halting breaths and tiny tears, Myra shared her story. Her mother, Clara, had worked for a respected local catering company run by Mr. Hensley, a CEO who graced magazine covers and donated to charities for the cameras. When the company downsized, Clara was among those let go. She had pleaded for just a little more time to provide for her daughter. Mr. Hensley dismissed her, deeming her replaceable. Since then, Clara had been too weak to seek new employment. Bills accumulated, the fridge emptied, and her pride prevented her from asking for help. Myra decided to sell her cherished pink bicycle to buy food. Ryder felt a visceral anger snap within him, the last tether to years of repressed frustration breaking free. His brothers, Tank, Viper, and Mason, recognized that look. Without a word, they nodded in agreement, not out of pity but from a shared rage at the injustice inflicted upon innocent lives. Ryder reached into his vest, retrieved his wallet, and pressed a bundle of bills into Myra's trembling hand. "Keep the bike, kiddo," he whispered, his voice low and thick with emotion. But this wasn't the end for him. He couldn't simply ride away while powerful men stripped everything from a mother and her child. He urged Myra to stay with her mother, promising he would return soon, and then the engines roared back to life. The Hells Angels were no saints, but they had their own form of justice. That day they chose not to resort to violence. Instead, they pursued the truth. They found Hensley's office, a gleaming glass tower that symbolized arrogance. The 4 men strode in with the weight of thunder, their boots echoing across the marble floors. The receptionist froze in place. Ryder spotted Hensley through the glass wall of his office, an arrogant man adorned with a gold watch and a disingenuous smile, someone who had never labored an honest day. "What's this?" Hensley scoffed as they entered. But Ryder didn't raise his voice. He placed the cardboard sign on the CEO's immaculate desk, the very one Myra had held. "That," he stated quietly, "is what your greed has cost." For the first time, the polished businessman appeared rattled. Ryder recounted Myra's plight, her mother starving under a tree, and the bicycle that meant more in love than all of Hensley's expensive cars combined. Hensley attempted to justify himself, mumbling about business decisions and layoffs, but his words faltered under the intensity of the biker's moral fire. They didn't need to harm him. Instead, Ryder leaned closer and said, You can't buy forgiveness, but you do have a chance to make things right. By sunset, the town buzzed with news that the CEO who had once fired a struggling mother had anonymously donated a year's worth of groceries to families in need, cleared hospital bills for single parents, and rehired those he had wronged. No one knew what had changed his heart, except for a few rough men and a little girl with a pink bike. When Ryder and his brothers returned to the tree that evening, Myra rushed to them, her eyes sparkling with joy. Clara stood nearby, still weak but smiling for the first time in weeks. The sunlight caught her face, and Ryder noticed her hand tremble as she tried to express her gratitude. He simply nodded, tipping his head as their engines cooled beside them. "You don't owe us anything," he said. "Just promise you'll never give up." That night they shared bread, the bikers, the woman, and the little girl who sold her bike not for toys but for love. The sunset bathed everything in golden light. The chrome, the grass, and the folded cardboard sign resting in Myra's lap. For a fleeting moment, the world seemed less broken. If this story has touched your heart, reminding you that kindness can emerge from the most unexpected places, take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every click helps stories of true compassion reach those who need it most. And before we end, share in the comments what you would have done if you were in Ryder's position. Sometimes, all it takes is one brave act to make the world believe in kindness once more.